Good. Okay. Well, we've got two people. I mean, we were going to do a discrimination quiz this week, but I'm not sure with two people at the moment. We might wait and see if a few more come on, because otherwise,
Save it for Christmas, and then we can wear our Christmas hats.
Oh, that's a good idea. Yes, let's do that instead. Okay. So I'm going to say me and Catherine have had a very interesting conversation this morning with one of our clients, face to face, because he's an interim GM and he's come to see us because he didn't feel he had the confidentiality, and we've got then all the details of everything that's been going on. And obviously we're always very fascinated to hear what's been going on in the golf club, but sometimes we don't need all the details to be able to do a course of action. We can cut to the chase and go, yes, we'll do restructuring. Yes, we can do that. That's how we get rid of it. Oh, yes, but you'll never believe what they've been doing. I don't really care what they've been doing unless it's gross misconduct, because, they're just normal golf club employees that have not been supervised. Things happen. Oh, do you know that the greenkeeper's using petrol to fill up his own car? I'm like, yeah, that's what happens when they're not supervised. It's like, oh, really? It's like, yes, because why wouldn't you? If you're not supervised and you could get away with it, why wouldn't you do that? I don't understand. That's just normal human nature, isn't it? There are obviously good people who are not doing that, but it's like, are we going to discipline them for that? No, I don't want to do that. Okay, well then I don't see how that's relevant to anything. So we've had 2 hours going around on that. So I have no idea. The reason I'm telling you that is not just to moan, but because I have no idea what the rest of the team have decided they're going to talk about. So I'm actually not going to talk in case I steal some of their thunder. So I'll let somebody else start talking. And then if the horror stories that I'm thinking of aren't covered, then we can cover them at the end. So who would like to start? Siji?
Yeah, I'll go. I've got one of the old favorites. I think Caroline will love this one. When you've got people who deal with finance in the club, you need to make sure that you have someone else audit the work that they do at least a couple times in the year. So I have an email come through from a club this morning, big long email. I'm talking like reams, talking about how they have a finance manager and they thought that he'd been underperforming for a little while, so we helped them put in performance management, and then they came back to say, I've spoken to the accountant and we realized that he hasn't been labeling things correctly or pulling out what expenses on the card are relevant to the business. So essentially he's lost them about almost 30,000 in tax over the last year. In this recent period, they're looking at around 8,000 that's gone this year at least. And the accountant's still wading through loads of stuff, find out the total number. So not surprisingly, the manager said to me, we don't want to do performance management anymore. Can we do an investigation and help us part company? And I said, okay, that's fine. So the accountant's going to pull all the key information together, and then we'll know what we can go in with an investigation. So we're at the very early stages, but again, if there's anyone in the company, in the club that handles money, you need to make sure that someone's checking it. The big issue here, the flag for me, was the manager I'm speaking to said, I normally trust this guy with the finance stuff because it's not my area. I don't really like it. So he's meant to be handling all that stuff, and now I found that he hasn't been handling it, which I get the idea of, if you're not skilled in it, get someone else, but verify that they are also skilled in it. He knew that there was some mistakes being done, but he wasn't really going to the effort to find out, and now he almost got hit with a 30,000 loss. So quite a big one coming in. I will keep everyone updated, but yeah, make sure that you check with the money.
Yeah, and it's not just that, like in this case, doing even a yearly audit. Somebody needs to be looking at this monthly. And I know some of the golf clubs have treasurers, and sometimes that treasurer has a financial background, which is great, and that makes it an easy one. And sometimes they've just been forced into taking the job, and they're like, oh yeah, that looks fine. It's like, you need to have somebody looking at it, because if somebody's not, like £30,000, I mean, I had this in a private sector company where they weren't doing any of the chasing of outstanding invoice and everything, and they were actually owed £30,000. Not even they lost the tax and VAT, is that they had overdue invoices up to 6 months old that had not been actually paid. And it's like, you need to have somebody on top of this and saying it's not acceptable for a manager to say, oh, finance isn't my area. It's like, it has to be your area because you're responsible for it. So yeah. Okay, Nadia.
Just to add to the finance thing, and this is really important, and I think, Caroline, this is where we found this out. You really should be getting your finance people to take a 2-week block holiday once a year, and you need to have someone else do their job while they're not there. Don't just leave it for 2 weeks, nobody touch it, John will do it when he gets back, and his pile is that high, because that's pointless. And the reason for this is it is a regular check for you and the employee to ensure that things are going right. And look into it, because this is actually something in the industry that is a best practice and really should be done. Mel, go for it.
I'm laughing, and I'm not laughing at the situation. This is very, very serious, but we can laugh about it today. We weren't laughing about it yesterday. We were nearly broken yesterday. We had a scam call yesterday, and luckily there are 2 people on our bank accounts. However, if there had only been 1 person on our bank account, I think there was a fair possibility we would have had one of our bank accounts cleared out yesterday. So, but luckily the person who took the call was astute enough to be able to go, this doesn't feel right. But they were I was in the office, they were very, very good at what they were doing. So we're kind of laughing about it this morning, but yeah. I think while we're on the call, sharing with people, because it's Christmas and the scammers are about, and you're talking about fraud, it is so easy. But luckily the person who took the call was very switched on, and we've got 2 named people on the bank account. So,
and that is the important thing. Because we've actually had a client that has been scammed out of about 30,000. And what was happening was the person whose actual job it was on holiday. So someone who works with her, but it's not her actual job, covered the job and didn't know, enough to say, this just reads odd, or this is not how John usually asks for money or something. And paid it. It ticked all the boxes, and she paid it. And they wanted to sack her. They didn't in the end.
No.
The important thing is that they realized there is that they had one person in a position who could press a button and send money. And it shouldn't be like that. There should always be a 2-stage check for money to actually go. Yeah. Because that's how you would catch it if that person wasn't sharp enough to catch it.
Yeah. Melanie, what was the actual scam? What were they saying? Was it that there's an overdue bill or what?
No, so what they did, they said that there was a transfer that had gone out of our bank account. We've got 2 bank accounts, and then within those bank accounts, we've got accounts. So they'd managed to get it was from NatWest, and they'd said that there was a transfer that they'd highlighted, they were from the fraud department, and they had noticed that the transfer had gone out, and this isn't one of your normal suppliers. They then started to talk through, we need to lock your account, we need to make sure that your account is secure, and did everything, went online and said, this is where the fraud number is for NatWest. If you've got any concerns, you need to be able to do that. Called them on their mobile number so that they could then, just in case the call fell off, I've got a contact detail. But it was to do with people who make bank transfers using a mobile device. Right. So that was their line, is they were trying to get the mobile device in order to be able to make the bank transfer. We don't do any mobile banking on business. It's all done by PIN. In it. But what they actually did was they did manage to get access by putting giving a code on your little machine where you put your card in, that was recognised. So they had the authorization. So there's an element on your PIN card that says a signatory section, so you can authorize payment with a signatory section. We never use that. So for us, it was like, hang on, this is not right. We don't usually use this. So that enables them to be able to access without having a signatory or a PIN. So it was very well done. But luckily, the person who was dealing with it was like, part of the way through the call, and it was like, this isn't right. We ended up hanging up, and then she spent the next 2 hours on the phone to NatWest going through the whole detail, saying it's got nothing to do with us. There's no notes, there's nothing. It was just a bit of it's Christmas, and so to share it with other people who are running businesses, just be on your alert. They were very good. It wasn't a foreign. It was a Scottish name. It was a Scottish guy. You know, you think that they are genuinely working for that person. It's not a foreign.
Telephone number there as well.
And
the other thing is, Karen's the other side of the desk. Karen also, the telephone number that came through on our phone is actually a NatWest number.
Oh.
So it is, if you look up that number online, it does belong to NatWest. When you then search who called me, there are numerous people saying, no, this is a fraudulent call, scam. Those people that then put it as a genuine number were those people that had called NatWest. So if you call NatWest on that number, it's the correct number. However, if it appears on your phone as an incoming call, it's not from NatWest.
Wow.
It's very, very clever. It was very, very clever.
Yeah. I'm going to say...
I think you guys are lucky you bought that one.
Yeah. But
it was very good.
I'm just wondering, and I'm just obviously very cynical here, that my interactions with my bank are not helpful interactions. They're not generally proactive interactions. They will contact me if they think there's something for it, but I'm actually, usually it's just they block a transaction. They will just block a transaction, send me a text message and say, if this was you, you have to ring us. And here's the number. Okay. And I'm going to say I generally don't do it, but they are just so not friendly and not helpful. They might be professional, but they are not proactive or anything. That if somebody, it's a bit like when BT rings you, says, oh, BT here, oh, you've got a problem with your line. I absolutely do not. You are not BT, because you know how many buttons I need to press to get through to customer service. No, there's no way BT is calling me, or Microsoft, because there's a problem. Really, get real. But that sounds so close now. They just need to be slightly ruder to you, and then it would be believable.
It would be genuine. Yeah.
So the dialogue as well was very similar.
What?
The dialogue that he used is very similar to the way NatWest spoke to me when I went through security.
So Karen's just said, did you hear that?
Yeah, the dialogue
that she gave, it's the same as the dialogue that they were using. So maybe it's an ex-employee of NatWest.
Yes,
it's our job. Someone's got a side hustle in NatWest.
But that was yesterday. So it's quite pertinent what you were saying.
Yeah, brilliant. Gosh. Oh, straight from the horse's mouth. That's brilliant. Yeah, so we've got our Christmas scam. Any other scams anybody comes across, please share them in the group, because you won't be the only one, and if we can stop a few of these people getting money, that would be great. Lauren, have you got something?
The only thing we've got cases.
We can't hear you.
Can you hear me now? I was in the same place. Sorry about that. I'm not sure if we spoke about this before, but if anyone does this with banking hours. So we've had a case come through recently with someone actually going to ACAS for an unlawful deduction. They had been being paid more hours than they were actually working. And the expectation was that then in the summer, they would work over their hours and they would just still be paid for their contracted hours. That person has left before summer, and at their final pay, they were deducted all of the hours that they were overpaid. that person is now bringing a claim for unlawful deductions. And it's become very messy because it was just a verbal agreement that they could work some less hours and it would be paid with the expectation that they were going to work extra in the summer. And it's just put the club in a really difficult position, and it looks like they might have to eventually pay back them hours as a settlement to stop an employment tribunal. So just some advice really, if you're going to do banked hours, firstly, I'd probably advise just pay them for the hours that they're actually working rather than paying them over if they're underworking. If not, get something in writing of the agreement that you've made, because then you can rely upon it. People will deny that they've had a verbal conversation, etc. And it's quite hard to prove that. So if you ever have a conversation with someone, just follow it up in writing with what's been agreed, because then you can rely on it and it just makes it a bit stronger.
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And that's the thing with all of the things. And in golf clubs, private sector, it happens as well, especially if it's a family run business. But in golf clubs, there's a lot of things that are sort of, I say gentleman's agreement. I'm going to say it's we don't need to have this in writing. We do need to have everything to do with employees in writing. The thing that I'd like to say is that if you're a client of ours and we're giving you contracts, there is no point keeping those contracts on your computer and not giving them out. I was speaking to a client yesterday, and we've been working with them for over a year, and she said, right, yes, I've got this issue with da-da-da. And I'm like, right, okay, well, what does it say in the contract? She's like, well, it doesn't matter what it says in the contract. I'm like, why doesn't it matter? She's like, well, because I haven't given the contracts out. Okay, but we gave you the contracts last October, a year ago. Yeah, well, I haven't really got round to it. It's like, because it was, it was Christmas and then it was the season. It's like there's 3 months between Christmas and the season. Obviously I'm not saying that, I'm thinking it. And the point is that she's then like, oh, I don't know whether I should give them out anyway, because people are going to get upset about it. It's like, why did we not have this conversation a year ago? We can give you the wording. This is the wording you do. Oh, but people are going to get upset. We're not changing their terms and conditions. We're just formalizing, because they have no contracts at all, not even old ones, nothing at all. So there's no point having these things, handbooks or contracts, if you don't give them out. If you're struggling to see how to position it, absolutely let us know and we can give you wording, because you're not the first and you won't be the last. But they need to be out there and we need to know what the pushback is. Oh, they'll be upset about it. Great. We need to know how they are upset. What are they upset about? Are they upset about the fact that it says you have to ask for permission for holiday, or what is it that they're actually upset about? Because they can't legally be upset about having a contract, because that's what they're supposed to have. The other thing is, sorry, Catherine, did you want to say?
You do yours first, because I've then got the horror of horror cases that kind of sums up everything we've been talking about today. So,
all right, okay. So the other thing is that particularly in a family-run business, you need to be aware that the employment relationship trumps any other relationship. And I was talking again to this club manager, and she was saying that the house manager, they've only got a couple of employees, but the house manager had been staying overnight in the room off of her office. And I'm like, why? So, sorry, is that a proper room to sleep in? Sort of like a little flat? Oh, no, he's been sleeping on the sofa. Why has he been sleeping on the sofa? Well, so he can open up. But you don't open up at 3 o'clock in the morning, do you? You're opening up at 7. Yeah. Well, why is he staying over? Well, he used to live in the flat with somebody else who is also an employee, okay, but now they're divorced, and I kind of feel sorry for him. So he has got somewhere else to live, but it's just easier for him if he stays in the clubhouse. It's like, no, because you have to provide, if he needs accommodation, you provide him with proper accommodation. You don't provide an employee with a sofa to sleep on. And by the way, this person has been making threatening statements towards their ex's new Love Live people who are members. And it's like, so now you've got somebody who has been making threatening statements to this other person, 2 members actually of the golf club, because the other employee is it's all got very messy, but it's just like, you can't do that. Oh yeah, but how do I tell him? you say you can't stay in the clubhouse anymore. We've taken legal advice and we've been advised that this is not possible, so you can't stay overnight anymore. Or be upset. I don't effing care. You cannot have it. And it's just, you need to get over the fact that you feel sorry for them. It is tragic that relationship has broken down. Absolutely. But as an employer, everything is screaming out here, red flags, huge red flags. You've got somebody sleeping in not suitable accommodation who has made threatening noises to a female who is allowed to be on the premises and is an employee. That can only go wrong. There is no good resolution to this other you have to get him out of the clubhouse overnight. And there has been a lot of pushback that is going to be bad and he'll be upset. And it's like there's upset and there's actually protecting the people that you need to protect and to protect the business. It's sad, but actually we need to do what is right legally and not bend over backwards to be generous, because at the moment I'm just seeing red flags that this is going to escalate and somebody is going to get hurt, and it won't be him, it's going to be somebody else, and we need to do that and not feel sorry for him. So I'm just saying, yes, we do all develop relationships with employees within work, we're working closely with our colleagues, but actually as an employer you need to step back and go, right, what do I need to do legally, because feeling sorry for somebody is not going to be a justification if there is a serious problem. Okay, so that was an upbeat tone, wasn't it? Now over to Catherine.
Mine's not much more upbeat. So when we do your template contracts for you, under the additional hours clause, we give you 4 options to state whether they're paid, unpaid, both, or neither. The idea is that you choose one of those options. You don't delete them all, because if you delete them all, the default is that you pay them. Now, one of our clients is tripped up, and that's actually the least of their worries. They deleted all 4. This person has done a lot of overtime, let's say 10 to 12 hours per week, and wondered why he's not got the pay on his paycheck. And they said, well, no, you don't get paid for your hours. So he's obviously arguing, the text kind of reads, where you're entitled to pay or where you're entitled to time off in lieu. He's saying, well, I do get paid. Where this has taken a bit of curveball, from the conversations, this staff member was in their contract to do 55 hours per week. Now, obviously, we know that the working time directive is 48. We have asked 5 or 6 times, has this employee signed a working time opt-out form? We've not been answered that question and not been sent one, so we are going with no, they have not. So that's a breach of the working time. And then it gets worse again. The next email tells us that he's refusing to work more than 55 hours because he's not getting paid, so they've dismissed him. And he's nearly 70 as well. So yes, it just, every sort of email, it gets worse and worse and worse. So there's so many things. So one, just make sure the contracts are right. We are saying to them, you're going to have to pay those hours. If you don't have in there, you're not paying for them. The default is you're paying for them. Also now got to sort out the issue. You've dismissed him for refusing to breach working time directive, really. And you've got age discrimination as well. So we are obviously talking about settlement in that case, and it'll be keep you updated. The guy only started in August, and this is not going to be a low settlement figure. So yes, we don't like you to put more than 48 hours in the contract. If you are, then you need an opt-out form, but you also can't force a staff member to sign an opt-out form. So please don't put more than 48 hours in the contract. But keep you updated.
Yeah, it's just funny when you have those conversations, because they're like, yeah. So we've dismissed him. We're like, what? Why have you dismissed him? Because he wouldn't work more than 55 hours, but you're not paying him, and actually that's too much anyway. Yeah, but well, he doesn't have to work the whole time. Okay, but you'll pay. It says in his contract he works 55 hours. Yeah, but he has breaks. Yeah, but you've put 55 hours. It's like, I don't understand. And really, they just don't get why there's a problem. And we've tried rephrasing it so many times. They're like, but we need them to work all the hours that we ask them to work. It's like, yeah, you can't do that anymore. That those times have gone, or you need to pay them. The point is, it's only kicked off because he wasn't being paid. If you paid him, there wouldn't be a problem. I mean, there is a problem in the background, but he would never have been aware of it. So, it's just choosing your battles. There you go. Has anybody got a question for us today? Paul, Melanie? No. Dawn? No? Okay. Those of you who weren't on the call at the beginning, we decided, because there weren't so many of us, we're going to save a quiz. We might do a slightly different quiz for our Christmas jumper special in December. and we'll give you advance warning of the Christmas jumper special as well. That usually gets rid of, it's just going to be Mel who wins all the chocolates, because that's usually Mel turns up in her Christmas jumper, don't you, with your antlers or something. I think I did antlers as well last year, and then you get the chocolate, so that's excellent. That'd be great. But otherwise, anything in the meantime, just come back to us and we'll see you all next week. Okay, bye.
Thanks for watching. If you want a free tribunal audit of your employment contract and handbook, click the link in the description below.